Whether a parent wants to admit it or not, they almost always have a favorite child. And I'm going to say that there is nothing wrong with that. Parents don't admit it because there's often shame associated with it. There's a stigma. And they don't want to overtly offend all of their children. But the cold, hard reality is that every parent has a favorite child. And this audio is going to go over what reasons there are for having a favorite child. Every individual has things that they like about themselves and that they don't like about themselves. And this could be either internally they like or don't like, but a lot of times it's learned. We are taught what is valuable in a person and what is not valuable in a person. And individuals are very aware of what is liked and what is not liked. And most human beings, and this is normal behavior, they want to project the good things that they like about themselves out into the open for people to see. And they want to minimize or hide the things that they don't like about themselves so that they're never seen. And they'll even often do this to themselves, where a person will self-deceive and they will not even acknowledge to themselves their weaknesses. Now, as a person gets older, it's very important for them to be aware of their strengths and their weaknesses, their pros and their cons. A mature person is going to learn that they're not the center of the universe, that they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. That's a sign of maturity. Now, there are different levels of maturity in the world. And some people, they never quite get there. And so what they do is when they have children, multiple children, they will have a child that is a favorite. And what the favorite child is, or the golden child, it's someone who exhibits the qualities that the parent likes about themselves. Or they exhibit qualities that the parent admires or wants other people to see. The parent has decided, usually on an unconscious level, that this child is going to be their champion. And on the flip side, there are children that are going to be average. They don't make the parent look bad. They don't make the parent look good. And so they get kind of an average level of attention, or they may even be forgotten. The parent doesn't cause problems for them, but they don't really focus on them as much as the golden child. And then there is the scapegoated child. The scapegoated child is a representation of the parents. Now, before I get into the scapegoated child, I want to talk about each child that parents have is a representation of the parents. A lot of times there's this little game that is played where parents will be like, yeah, my great child gets that from me. And yeah, the average child has some qualities of me, but the scapegoated child, I don't know where he or she came from. That has nothing to do with me. The reality is all of the children are a reflection of the parents, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the scapegoated child is a representation of what the parents don't like about themselves or they don't like about society, but is being expressed. And so they will oftentimes unconsciously punish the child. And I use that word because most of the time it isn't conscious punishing. They're not consciously aware a lot of the times that they're doing it. They just might struggle with maturity and realizing that this process is happening, that there are children that they like, that the parent wants to project outward in pride, and there are children that represent shame of the parent, and they want to hide or berate unconsciously. And so, like I said, this happens when a parent or parents are immature, or they haven't matured as much as some other parents do. Because there are some golden children on steroids and scapegoated children on steroids, and then there might be a golden child light or a scapegoat light, depending on the parent's maturity level. And one potential reason for why a parent does this is because they live in a fantasy, and they are willing to make concessions. Now, if you think about it, would you want to have 5 average children? Or would you want to have 2 great children, 1 average child, and 2 screw-ups? There is going to be an unconscious temptation to take the latter, because people want to have their champion. They want to have a champion. They want to be able to show the world why their family is great. This is a huge temptation. And when there is immaturity, this is going to happen. So what happens is there's an artificial inflation of 1 or 2 children, where they are made to feel better than they actually are. Their strengths are magnified. Their weaknesses are ignored or minimized. And there are some children that are ignored. And there are some children whose strengths are ignored, and their perceived weaknesses are magnified and shamed. And they want that child to be in the background. They want that child to not embarrass the family. But that child is a representation of the family. And the golden child's weaknesses that are ignored are a representation of the family. The scapegoat and average and golden children's strengths are a representation of the family. But the parents are having a different unconscious view of each child, and they're acting accordingly. So there is nothing wrong with having a favorite child. Even completely healthy and normal, mature parents will have a favorite child, whether they admit it or not. In most cases, it might not even be useful to admit it, even though children may know. But a mature parent is going to be fair. They are going to say, why do I like this child more than my other child? What does that say about me? What does the scapegoated child, why do I not like the scapegoated child? What does that say about me? How is the scapegoated child a representation of me? And why do I want to advance this golden child? And what is it about this average child where I'm not really focusing on them? What does that say about me too? A mature parent will look into that. But an immature parent that's heavily invested in fantasy will not. Now, there's always an opportunity that they can learn why they're doing that. And some parents will and improve, and some parents won't. But that is the reason why there are favorites, golden children, ignored children, and scapegoats.